The Twins are dead. Let's put them out of circulation as far as 2021 is concerned. They are not going to make the postseason. Do the first dead team of the year. They've been awful. They're 12 games under 500. They lose left and right, all sorts of impractical ways. They had no business losing a game yesterday. They lost a game to Oakland earlier in the year with blown leads all over the place. Errors in the bottom of the 10th inning. They can't hit. Their pitching has been terrible. A lot of injuries. Buxton never plays. So they're done. We're going to cross them off on my little list right now. Minnesota is cooked as far as the American League Central is concerned. And I'm not quite ready to say it, but I'm going to have a little fun with them anyway. You can write the Angels off, too. I mean, they're not going anywhere. Ohtani, despite his wonderful heroics last night, of course, a big two-run homer with 2 outs in the 9th off Barnes. Give them credit for that. But they're not going. I mean, they're 5 games under 500. They have no starting pitching. I don't love their bullpen. It's not a great team. As simple as that. It's not Ohtani's fault. It's not Trout's fault. But they're just not a great baseball team. The A's and the Astros have taken off as far as the American League West is concerned. Oakland's played really well. Remember, Oakland was 0-6, and now they're 24-17. So, it's 24-11. That's 35 games of good, solid baseball. Houston is starting to fly, getting better pitching. They're hitting some. Bottom of the lineup, Kyle Tucker, the whole 9 yards. Good for Dusty. And Houston's done a nice job. The Angels, they got Texas there, basically behind them in the rear. But the Angels, same old problem. They just don't have enough arms on a day-in, day-out basis to compete. Rendon's hurt a lot. They're not going anywhere either as far as the AL West is concerned. They ain't the Twins. Now, as far as the National League goes, the Dodgers made, listen, they played well all week. Yesterday notwithstanding, they bring Pujols in, lose Seager for a long time. Are going to bring Pujols in. We'll see if he has anything left. It's the right spot for him. He's been in Southern California. He can play a little first base. They can move that infield around. Munson can go to second. Lux can go to short. I'm assuming Seager will be out somewhere between 6 to 8 weeks. That's a tough break for him. He's a heck of a player. And they can play Pujols a little bit at first base, see if he has a little pop left in that bat. The Dodgers will utilize him properly. Roberts does a good job with that, interchanging guys left and right. The Dodgers are still very good. I'm a little surprised they had a good homestand, so we'll keep that in mind here. But still, they haven't gotten on all cylinders yet. Now they're banged up. He played nobody yesterday, and Pujols now is a Dodger. That is interesting. San Diego, despite the COVID issue and no Tatis and everybody else they've lost, they've done a nice job. They won 6 of 7. They buried the Cardinals over the weekend. Every time you think St. Louis is about to run, they fall apart. Same with Milwaukee. And St. Louis got ambushed in San Diego this weekend. Padres are now 7 games over 500. They're half a game behind the Giants, who have played a very easy schedule. Pittsburgh 4, Cincinnati is forthcoming. They've already played Texas. Giants have been lucky. No Dodgers yet. As far as the NL West is concerned, the Giants have very good pitching, but San Diego's right there with them, and they got a lot of issues. So we keep an eye, and the Giant bullpen is beyond bad. So we keep an eye on San Diego. They have played very, very well right now. That brings us to the NL East, and the NL East is still a crapshoot. These teams just cannot get out of their own way. Philadelphia, every time you seem to think they're going to recover and play good baseball, Harper decides to bunt with 2 on and 1 out in the middle innings, which makes no sense. And Segura gets mad at Girardi in the Philly dugout, which, you know what? Who knows what Girardi said him, what he told him. He didn't hustle on, a grounder. Or maybe it was defensively. Whatever the case, Segura is upset. Dodger pitching isn't, Philly pitching has not been as great as you'd like to see. Obviously, I think Nola's, I'm down on him, as I told you last week, with that horrendous performance, the Sunday game in Atlanta, the rubber game of that 3-game series. They turn 2 steps forward, 1 step back. 2 steps up, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Phillies can't get anything going. One day they look like they're world beaters. They do a nice job in Washington. They win 2 out of 3 there. Then they go into Toronto, against Toronto in Dunedin, and they lose 2 out of 3, and they can't stop the Jays. So a little worried about Philadelphia right now. They look like they're going to be one of these 82-80 teams all season long. As far as we know, their bullpen is spotty. They got a lot of injuries. Who knows on DD right now? That's one ball club. The Mets were playing world beaters. All right, the Orioles are awful, but they went out there. They won 7 in a row. They beat Arizona prior to that. Then they go into Tampa. They're banged up, a lot of injuries. They get a bad start out of Stroman. They get a bad performance out of their bullpen the first game of that series, and they get ambushed by the Rays to put the Mets only 2 games over 500. Not to mention the fact that Conforto and McNeil are most likely going to go on a DL. So the Mets, who have a lot of issues injury-wise anyway, Lindor, though he thought that home run against Arizona might turn him on, is still hitting under 200, which is concerning if you're a Met fan. And the Mets can't seem to find their way and get going here. The Nationals obviously can't do the same. They did win the series in Arizona. Scherzer's been wonderful, but, you know, Hands blown some ball games for him. And the Nationals had a bad series against the Phillies. They bounced back a little bit in the desert. They go to Wrigley. We shall see. But the Nationals are 4 under 500. And, of course, Atlanta, you know, they're 0-6 against Toronto, which is hard to believe. They did have a better series in Milwaukee, but their comeback yesterday with the highlight with the grand slam by Freeman falls a run short. And the Braves are still under 500 as they head to this series now. First meeting of the year between these two teams. Out of the 19, first one of the year there down in Atlanta, which is this week. So we see about Atlanta and the Mets. But this division right now has really had a lot of trouble of getting somebody started. The Phillies are up and down. Nationals had a lot of injuries. Obviously, they don't have Strasburg. Marlins are going to sort of do and work very hard to keep their heads above 500 or thereabouts. Right now, they're about 4 or 5 under. We thought the Mets and the Braves would be the two teams that could, move off and do some damage in the rest of the division. They have not done that so far. Every time you think the Mets are about to get going, Every time you think the Braves, off that good win against the Phillies last Saturday night, that they would turn on and start to play better, they haven't really played that well. Since that Saturday win against the Phillies, that great comeback, they're still under 500. They lost 3 straight to Toronto, and they have won 3 out of 4 of the other 4 games. So you're worried about Atlanta. You're worried about the Phillies. You're worried about the Nationals. The National League, I mean, the Cardinals and the Brewers, it's not a great team right now in the NL. I mean, I guess it's Padres, Dodgers still. I'm going to leave the Giants out for the moment. But the Cards and Brewers, no. Cubs are a 500 team. Nationals are a 500 team. Phillies are a 500 team. And the Braves and the Mets are playing like 500 teams as we, head to about 2 weeks away from Memorial Day. And again, one more time, just to reiterate, Minnesota's dead. They are not going to make the playoffs. They're 12 games under 5. It's too many. In a tough division, the White Sox are pretty competitive. They are not, and obviously the Indians have pitching. So you can forget the Twins. And the Angels, although, Ohtani's done a heck of a job, and Trout and everything else, and, Ohtani's done a good job on the mound as well. I don't like the Angels way under 500. I don't think that team is going to make the postseason either. Those are the observations I would make. 40 games in here at the quarter pole as far as the sport is concerned. Alana's with us, of course. Let's get some thoughts from Miss Russo on this busy afternoon. Alana, welcome. How are you today? Okay?
I'm good. Wow, that's a lot to unpack. Welcome back.
What the heck?
It's good to have you back. I hope you had a nice trip with your son, but woo! That's a lot to do. Talking about the AL West, I'm excited about the Oakland series with the Houston Astros. The Astros have been good. Their last 10 games, they're 8-2. They've won 6 straight. The 2 top teams in that division. Looking forward to that. I think we have to mention what the Padres did this weekend, too, though. If we're talking NL West, you have to give the Padres credit for sweeping the St. Louis Cardinals, who going into the weekend had the second best record in all of baseball, tied with the San Francisco Giants. So the Padres, making some waves there in the NL West. And by the way, they're starting a series with the Rockies. So if you're going to kill the Minnesota Twins, I'm going to go ahead and kill the Rockies at this point. The Rockies aren't going to do anything. They're not going to make the postseason regardless of what's going on. So if you're going to kill the Twins, go ahead and take your Sharpie and scratch the Rockies off the list in the NL West. As far as the NL West is concerned also, I understand what you were saying that the Angels, there you go, get them out of there. The Angels, you were saying, what else were they going to do in terms of the Pujols situation? Walsh is their guy at first base, so Ohtani's going to DH. So it makes sense for the Dodgers. They still think that he can hit. He's already in Southern California. Go up the 5 highway an hour. Go to Dodger Stadium. Here's who the Dodgers have on the IL right now, just in terms of position players. A.J. Pollock, right-hander. Zach McKinstry. Bellinger, lefty, still on the IL. Corey Seager just goes on the IL, probably for 4 to 5 weeks with that 5th metacarpal issue. And you have Edwin Rios on the IL with that shoulder issue. So why not? They don't have the depth that they had in the past. Why not bring Pujols in there and see if he can hit a little bit at Dodger Stadium? Maybe play him at first base a little bit. When you play American League teams, he can DH. You can move your infielders around a little bit. Put Gavin Lux at second or at short. Move Muncy around if you need to. Who knows? I'm fine with it. Again, you're testing the depth. The Dodgers have a lot of key guys on the injured list, but you got to give credit to the Padres for sweeping the Cardinals as well.
100%. Good series by San Diego. Plus, it showed you some toughness. They had, a lot of guys have been out there the last 10, 12 days. So good job by San Diego. Good job by Alana.